So it's a day after the London and Manchester marathons have taken place here in the UK.
So well done everybody.
And we think there were over 80,000 finishers across those two marathons.
Yes, and already the emails are dropping into our inboxes inviting us to enter next year's marathons.
So before you hit that enter or apply button, maybe it's worth thinking about the pros and cons of these UK marathons. So in this video, we're going to take you through 10 things that I personally loathe about marathons. Dawn's going to give you a counterpoint about why she loves or likes marathons, and then let you decide where you end up on either side of the argument.
So yes, I had an email today to enter Manchester Marathon early for the reduced price of £65. What a bargain.
Yeah, it's a bargain if you actually get to run it, which is another point I'll come on to. But yeah, most 10Ks I do are between £20 and £25. We do find races organised by running clubs at considerably less. So the first reason I don't like these marathons is it costs so damn much to enter. £65 is a reduced rate. You can guarantee there'll be rolling increases in prices that can take some of these marathons to just under £100 to enter. Eye-watering. I remember when I used to do the London Marathon, it was what, about £27, £28?
Yes, but how many marathons do you enter a year? Most of us, I'm not saying everybody, but the majority of people will enter 1 or 2 marathons a year, yes? Okay, so if you think of how many 10Ks you enter per year, how many half marathons you enter, yeah, and they're not all £25, some are a little bit more expensive. If they're club organised, yes, I agree, you can get them pretty cheap. But I think £65 for a marathon with closed roads, I don't think it's that bad a deal.
Okay, we'll let Dawn have that one. 1-0 to her. Okay, having conceded the point that the value is okay, I'll give you another point about the cost, and that is most of these marathons do not allow transfers, whereas a lot of those 10Ks I do, run Northwest, run Cheshire, do allow sales and transfers. So I don't know how many people signed up for Manchester Marathon didn't do it, but I bet it amounts to hundreds of thousands of pounds of revenue for the organisers.
Okay, I have to give you that one because there are occasions where we've entered marathons and not done them. I can think of one a couple of years ago. I got ill. I asked if I could drop down to the 10 miles because they had a 10 mile going on, and they said, no, we're full, but you can put your entry over to next year and pay again.
Yeah, and all it encourages is people selling numbers online, transferring numbers, and that puts people's safeguarding in jeopardy. It shouldn't be done and we'd never do it, but the intransigence of race companies in not allowing sales and transfers does cause this. So
one for you.
So 1-all.
Ooh.
So linked to the fact that you have to enter way in advance for some of these and there's a dropout rate, it's the third reason why I loathe marathons, and that is the impulsivity of some of the big marathons in terms of getting people to enter. Yeah, I can think of no other race that's happening next year where I'm being encouraged to submit an entry or an application in order to run it. There's plenty of 10Ks I will probably run next year. I'm not being bombarded with emails to enter them now, so I think a lot of these marathons rely on the impulsivity, and soon we'll have the London Marathon saying we've had 1 million applications for our ballot places, brag, brag, brag. And to me, that's not what running should be about.
Okay.
Over to you, Dawn.
Well, I would say that the big city marathons have to have numbers because they need to know what they have so they can close the roads and put the infrastructure in place. So there's no point them sending out an email 3 months before a big race. It takes about a year or more sometimes for the organisation of these big marathons. So at the end of the day, they're just doing what is necessary to allow them to be able to put on these fantastic races.
And I guess people need to know a long time in advance of doing a marathon so they can train to train and be in a position to start a 14 or 16 week training block ready to rumble. So okay, I'll give Dawn that one, although I'm still a little bit off with the look how many applications we've had bragging element of it all. Okay, 2-1 to Dawn. But the fourth one I think I'm going to win here, and that is loathing the rolling start times of marathons. Now we know people who did the marathons yesterday, London and Manchester, not starting till gone 11 o'clock, and they're going to be out there for 4 or 5 hours. So they were in fact starting while some other people we knew were finishing. So we know several people starting around 11 o'clock or later, running right through the hottest part of the day because of these rolling starts, which to me are just about getting more people to enter the marathon and more profit for the organisers.
I guess the counterpoint to that is it does allow more people to be able to enter that marathon and run. However, I think I have to give this one to John, because I remember last year when I did Manchester, and as we were finishing and going to get the tram back, there was people just starting to walk to the start to start their marathons, and it was coming up to midday. So I do think that is a little bit late, especially when you've got weather like this. It's just too hot.
And it was causing a little bit of a crush, wasn't it?
Yeah, so the
people going to the start, people leaving the finish.
Yeah, so I did feel for those people who were waiting to start. I thought, I can't imagine I would want to be there starting a marathon at 12 noon.
Yes, I've one start time for the race. Like in the old days of London, it might have taken people 20 or 30 minutes just to cross the start line, but at least everybody ostensibly had the same start time. So we're currently at 2-2 in the love versus loathe debate, so we'll move on to point number 5. So the fifth reason I loathe marathons is what happens when you DNF, something I've become a little bit of an expert in recent years. But many years ago I did DNF at London at about 14 miles. There's a bit of a crush on the tube to get back to the finish, but it was okay. And we do know people who DNF London this year too, and it's okay getting back to the finish if you've got your wits about you and you can use the London transport system. However, when I DNF'd Yorkshire the other year, we had to wait around nearly an hour in the cold waiting for somebody to pick us up. When Dawn DNF'd at Chester last year, well, she basically had to jog back to the finish or wait several hours for the sweet bus. And when I DNF'd at Manchester last year, I had a 2-mile jog to a tube station and then got back, and I'm grateful that it was a reasonably sunny day because all I had was a sore singlet on. So I think the DNF arrangements in these marathons are potentially very dangerous in some cases. Over to you.
I wouldn't say they're dangerous, but I do think that it needs to be much more clearer. And yeah, so I'm going to give it to you because the DNF arrangements that I've experienced are not the best. However, most people don't look to DNF in a marathon, do they? You know, at the end of the day, I guess, and I'm talking myself here, I ended up having to jog back to the finish area. So people said to me, why did you just jog and finish the race? Well, I guess I could have done had I not already missed a part of the course. But yeah, so I guess at the end of the day, unless you're seriously injured, you can actually walk back to the finish.
But I get that one, don't I?
But you can have that one.
3-2 to me. Okay, so next point. Let's say you do not DNF a marathon, but you slog on to the end, as I did at the Marriott's Way marathon last year. Utterly miserable experience for several hours, probably even more miserable for Dawn having to listen to me. And then slogging to the end of the Halstead Marathon and ending up in Colchester General. So they're just silly distances. Like if you have a bad day in a 10k, and I had a couple during my recent 10k training block, you end up being 40 seconds a minute off your target pace. You're a bit disappointed, but hey ho, you carry on with the rest of the day. If you have a bad day in a marathon, you know about it for hours on end. It's unwalkable, never mind unrunnable. So that's the next reason why I loathe them. Over to you.
Well, yes, I'll agree that if you have a bad day, it's a long way and you suffer for a long time. However, I do think a lot of it is in your control, okay? And it's a challenge, and one of the beauties of the marathon is that challenge. It's all those things you have to get right. It's not just running it, but the challenge is all the things you have to get right to be able to run it and to be able to do it to the best of your ability. So I see that as a challenge, and I see it as a fine thing to do. So the marathon for me isn't about suffering, it's about overcoming those adversities.
Oh, fair enough. I did have in my career 3, 4, 5 marathons absolutely nailed, and they were sweet, sweet moments. So I'll give you that. If you get it right, it's fantastic. And in many ways, it can be worth those days where it goes wrong. So
yeah, and if it does go wrong, you can easily jog it if you want to.
So yeah, we'll give that 3-3 with 4 to go. Okay, next thing I loathe about a marathon is all the complications that could go wrong. Your socks, your chafing, your underwear, your nipple rub, too many gels, too few gels, you sleep the night before, you're fueling the day before, you're fueling the week before, you sleep. Do you know what, a 10k, you just turn up, stand on a start line and race it. You don't have to think about all the variables that could go wrong, and if it does go wrong, as I say, it's not too bad. Over to you.
I disagree with you. There's many things that can go wrong on a 5k, a 10k, any race really. So like if you're struggling and you're out there for a long time, it's overcoming those adversities. So yes, there's lots of variables involved, lots of things you have to get right. But if you practice those things in training, there's no reason why they should go wrong on the day. So in my opinion, practice makes perfect.
What could possibly go wrong in a 5k? All right, is this...
That's the start. That's the start, and you're going that way.
I think we'll call that half a point each, so that's 3.5 each with 3 to play. So the next thing I loathe about marathons is these days it seems you have to carry everything but the kitchen sink with you. You need your 8 gels, you need your salt sticks, you need your salt tabs, you need this, you need that. You know, you're stuffing your pockets full of, well, many dozens of pounds worth of products if you go with Morton and some of the more expensive brands. So it's like a chuffing picnic and day out marathons these days. So that's the reason I loathe them. Number 8. Over to you.
But you've got lots of kit on offer these days, lots of things you can buy. You've got shorts with nice elasticated waistbands where you can put your gels in. You've got crop tops which have pockets on, so you basically can distribute them evenly around your body and you don't realise that you're actually carrying them.
That's true. You can spend £50 on a pair of shorts to shove your £50 worth of fueling all around you to run your £100 race. Oh my goodness, it wasn't like this in the old days, kids.
But how enjoyable is it? And what an achievement when you finish.
What, shoving gels down your backside?
They got nice taste. Some of them are really yummy.
What should we have for tea tonight? Shall we have 2 OTEs followed by an SIS and
a salt stick.
And a salt stick for dessert. So how are we grading that one? Who won that point? Do you have to carry too much around on a marathon these days to make it enjoyable? Or do you just get on with it and buy the right equipment, either a belt or some shorts, in order to do so?
Well, I think you do have to carry quite a lot if you are into taking gels, etc. But I don't think it's a hindrance to your marathon. So I think we'll have half a point each there, just to be on the to be fair.
So that's 4 each. Reasons to loathe marathons, number 9. And that is, you basically waste time tapering and recovering. So if you take a 2-week taper into a marathon and then race it, and as I said, there's a high chance it can go wrong, especially if you're me, you then got at least 2 weeks recovery until you can race again, and probably another month until you can race properly again. That's 6 weeks at your racing program. Think how many parkruns you could smack in that time, how many lovely 10Ks you could enter. So yeah, it's a waste of good training and racing time just for one race. That can probably go wrong. Over to you.
Right, so firstly, shoes today allow you to recover far quicker than they used to be. So the super shoes of today means your legs don't even feel like they've been battered, okay? So I think recovery is a lot quicker than it used to be when you were wearing flats in a marathon, okay? Secondly, nutrition. Our nutritional knowledge these days is much better, so what we fuel with afterwards allows us to recover far quicker. I don't agree it stops us racing for 6 weeks or running park runs, in all honesty. In fact, I think I was back racing within 2 weeks. And the final point is, John, that even if you did have to have some downtime before and after a marathon, for you it'd probably do you a bit of good because you never have downtime.
This is true. Relentless. Yeah, I do get that. At least having a marathon does allow for natural down periods in your running year instead of relentlessly ploughing on week after week. Well, we'll give that one to Dawn. It's 5-4 in favour of doing a marathon. Are you going to be pressing the enter button at the end of this video? Let us know if you are planning a marathon either later this year or next year. We'd love to know which one you're choosing and why. Okay, the 10th and final reason I love marathons is the amount of time it takes to train for them. Sunday runs lasting upwards of 3 hours, 3.5 hours, instead of the 90 minutes to 2 hours that I currently do in pursuit of my 10K goals. The effect on, for some people, family life, the effect of tiredness and your job, just takes too much out of you to run a ridiculously arbitrary distance of 26.21 miles or whatever it is in modern kilometres. Just too long to race. Race a proper distance like 10K, 5K. Over to you.
Oh, you grumpy old man. No.
You've been reading that one, haven't you?
The marathon is a fine distance to train for. So you think about it, John. You train all year round. You train every single day. Yes, okay? Yes, but training for a marathon, if you're only training once or twice a year for a marathon, and you do a few extra hours here and there, what does it matter? And anyhow, what I love is the fitness you get from that extra training, and then that fitness you take in to do those shorter distances that you're so fond of, and it makes you quicker. Yeah, so by training for a marathon helps you to get quicker over shorter distances.
In fact, we know a little song about that, don't we, kids?
It will make us stronger. So a little bit of extra commitment for 1 or 2 marathons a year, I'm sure is actually not that bad really, is it?
Joe, I'll actually give you that one, because alternating training blocks and alternating training stimuli is very good. So I did part of a marathon block even though I had no intention of running a marathon, because I knew it would give me a different stimulus to aid my 10k progression. So it looks like Dawn wins 6-4. We're in favour of doing a marathon. But not me. We're in favour of other people doing marathons, but with those caveats about how some of the organisation seems to be slipping these days more into money making and bragging about numbers, rather than creating a good race experience for those people actually doing it. Did you run London or Manchester this year? Did you find it crowded? Did you find any other ways which you think it could have been improved? We certainly have spoken to a few people who didn't have the best experience, did they?
No, some didn't, but there's others who absolutely loved it. So I think at the end of the day, you know, you can't take one person's experience as the be-all end-all of the marathon, because we're all very individual, aren't we?
So we hope you've enjoyed this sometimes tongue-in-cheek look at UK marathons, but we think we've made some serious points there to reflect on. If you have enjoyed the video, please give it as a like, and if you would like to subscribe and see how we get on in our future races and Dawn's marathons, then we'd love you to subscribe to the channel. So until next time, keep on keeping on.
Keep on keeping on.